Good morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to become present. Find a nice, comfortable seated position on a block or pillow. I'm on a pillow, uh, blanket, towel, something that allows your spine to sit nice and long and tall, the back of your neck nice and long and tall. Opening up your chest, opening up your diaphragm, and opening up your heart. Let's gently close our eyes and soften our thoughts. Soften our eyes. Soften our shoulders. Soften our heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or a phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I'd like to talk about is Abhyasa. And Abhyasa is Sanskrit for practice. Abhyasa, or practice in the noun form, is used to attain and remain in a state of harmony with oneself. And there are three principles for Abhyasa. First one is practice. Second one is practice. And guess what the third one is? Practice, verbs. So you're practicing for your practice. So when we set out each new year with a desire to improve certain aspects of our life, it often involves developing good habits. And that's where Abhyasa comes in. Practice is about being intentional and persevering, and that energy can become a habit. For example, if our intention, and as we talked about last week, intentions being the mindsets, and if that is our intention, or our mindset is to be focusing on being healthier, and we have identified that having a daily yoga practice would help. That is where was my thought going? If our intention is focusing on being healthier, and we have identified that having a daily yoga practice would help, but it's difficult to come to the mat every day to kind of create that habit. Try pairing it, and this is a suggestion I read a while ago. Try pairing that habit that you wish to create with another daily habit that you already have. For example, coming to the mat might be something that hasn't been created as a habit yet, but maybe having your daily cup of tea or coffee, um, lemon honey water, that's become a daily habit. Pair those two so that you take your tea to your mat. And even if you sit on your mat and remember there's 8 limbs of yoga, so there's pranayama, there's meditation, there's the asanas. It doesn't have to mean that you're going to only do the asanas. You can sit there and meditate, or you can sit there and do breathing exercises, and all that's part of practicing your yoga, your Abhyasa of yoga. So today's meditation, to that point, again, developing that habit of meditating. Um, that one for me might be my challenge. I have other challenges, but we'll talk about that one. And in the morning, when I walk Oscar, my dog, outside, there is such a thing as um, a walking or moving meditation. It doesn't have to be sitting down with your eyes closed and the standard way you think with mudras. It can be a walking meditation. And then just this morning, I was out walking with him, and when my mind starts, and I didn't really realize this till this morning, when my mind starts to kind of get occupied with thoughts, and the idea with meditation is to become still and kind of go within yourself and let those thoughts kind of go away. When my mind gets busy like that, I tend to look at the sky. I look for the clouds. Actually, there was a half moon that was still up this morning. Look at the treetops, something that's still and can still my mind. And if I can do that on a daily basis and get into the habit of when I observe that my mind's kind of busy, is to kind of look for something like a tritaka, the candle, when you're meditating, that would still your mind. And it doesn't have to be when you're on the mat or in a chair when you're meditating. So today, let's do a little session of meditation focusing on our breath, because that's something we do every day as well. And just focusing on your breath will still your mind, kind of bring yourself inward, and peace, create peace. So I'm going to go to the mat to just take a few moments. You can pick whatever pranayama breathing technique is your favorite, the 3-part pranayama, samavriti, equal length, or just maybe your natural breath, and just focus on it. We'll take a few moments and do that. Alrighty, you may open your eyes now and let's start practicing our practice. So we're going to start with a few shoulder shrugs and just kind of loosen up the upper part of our body and just kind of lubricate those shoulder joints. We're going to do quite a few planks and chaturangas and downward dogs. So we're going to be using our shoulders quite a bit this morning. So just kind of gently, you don't want to create more tension there right away. Just gently rolling your shoulders back and forth, feeling them loosen up in that sockets. Well, earlier this morning, I had my block on the window for when the sun comes up, and then about half an hour, 15 minutes ago, I took it down because it looked like it was going to be all the cloud cover was coming in. And guess what? The sun came back out. So I get to sun myself as well as practice my practice. Alrighty. Speaking of sun, let's do some sun breaths. So bringing our fingertips to the mat and inhaling slowly, bringing them up overhead. Nice deep inhale. And then palms come together and exhale, slowly lowering your hands down to heart center. Then inhale, opening the hands to each side. And then exhale, bringing them back together again. Inhale up, bringing them up and overhead. And then exhale down. And let's do that a few more times. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale up. And exhale down. And one last time, inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale up. And exhale down. Let's bring our right hand to our left knee. Left fingertips go behind our hips and we'll twist our torso to the left, sending our gaze straight ahead. Just nice, gentle, easy twist. And then back to center. And then bring our left hand to our right knee, right hand behind our hips, twisting our torso to the right, sending our gaze straight ahead. And then back to center. And then we're going to roll down on our mat. And you can choose whichever way you'd like to roll down. Knees bent, knees straight, tucking your hands underneath for what I call the express. I think I'm going to have my knees bent this morning. And then slowly lower down, engaging my core, slowly coming into contact with the mat, one vertebra at a time. Ah. Felt a nice click going on in the spine. And then bring the knees to your chest and just kind of rock back and forth, kind of wake up your spine, wake up all your chakra system. Rock and roll here. And then we'll interlace our fingers, placing them on our left knee and extending the right leg and right foot all the way down to the end of the mat. And then we'll take both feet and make circles. And we'll go clockwise with the circles. So with both feet, just kind of make these nice, gentle circles, loosening up your feet, your toes, your ankles, keeping your shoulders in contact with the mat, bringing that knee closer to your chest. And then we'll send that right foot all the way up to the ceiling, pointing our toes toward the sky. And we're going to take the entire leg and make circles with the entire leg. So using your toe as the pointer, create these circles. And you can go clockwise again. You can make small circles or large circles, whichever way you want. But engage the entire leg in the creating of the circle. And then we'll lower the right leg back down to the mat, have it come all the way down, touch the mat. Place the left foot on top of the right leg, just above the kneecap, and we'll guide the left knee to the right side with our right hand. Nice gentle spinal twist. Your left arm can be alongside or in a goal post, whichever way is comfortable for you. And then we'll release that pose and bring both knees back to your chest and interlace the hands and give your knees a nice hug. And then again, just gently rock and roll, waking up your spine and giving your lower back a massage. And then wrap your interlaced fingers around your right knee, extending your left foot all the way down to the end of the mat. And we're going to make circles with our feet, loosening up our ankles, but let's do it counterclockwise this time. So make nice counterclockwise circles with both feet. And then we're going to lift that left foot all the way up to the sky. Keep the toes pointed toward the sky. And we'll make circles with the entire leg. And we'll do that counterclockwise as well. And work on getting a nice smooth circle here. Looks more like a triangle happening here, but all right. Focus. Really work on trying to create a nice smooth circle. Alrighty, and we'll lower that left leg all the way down to the mat so it's touching the mat. Send the right foot onto the left leg right above the kneecap, and then guiding with our left hand. Our right knee is guided over to the left side. Again, the right arm you can have alongside or maybe in a goal post, whichever is comfortable for you. release that and bring both knees back to the chest. Interlace your fingers and one last hug here. And then we're going to come up onto our hands and knees. So you can either roll over to the side, or if you'd like, you can roll from here on up to a seated position, crossing over your legs, coming to tabletop. And our hands are right below our shoulders, knees right below our hips, navel's tucked to the spine. And we'll send our gaze straight down so that our spine and back of our neck have a nice long line. And then gently turning your nose to the right, sending your gaze to the right, and then bringing it back to center. And then sending your gaze and nose over to the left side, center, and keeping that equal distribution of weight in your hands so that your shoulders have a nice distance from your ears. We'll send our nose over to the right again. And then back to center and then over to the left. Back to center. One last time over to the right. And back to center. And over to the left. And back to center. Then we'll do a few cat-cow. So we're going to round our back on the exhale, dropping our head and tailbone down, really stretching out the spine. And then lifting our head and tailbone up, sending our gaze straight ahead for cow. And then exhaling again, rounding the back for cat. And then setting our head and tailbone up. Gaze goes straight ahead for cow. And continue here for a few moments, really synchronizing your inhales and exhales to your movements. Keeping that pressure in your hands, that weight evenly distributed. And just coming back again to tabletop. Bring our knees together. And we'll send our right leg up at hip height, keeping the toe pointed. And then send the left arm up, keeping the fingertips pointed forward. Oops. And then we'll point the toes on the inhale, flex the toes so they're flexed down toward the mat on the exhale. Flex, inhale, flex, or point, inhale, flex, exhale, 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 and bring both back down. And we'll do that on the other side. So sending the left leg up to hip height, toes pointed, and then sending the right arm up, pointing the fingers toward the top of the mat. And then point the toes, inhale, flex them down to the mat, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, and flex, exhale, and bring them both back down to the mat. We'll send our hips down to our ankles, reaching our fingers forward to the top of the mat, Coming into extended child's pose. And then coming back to tabletop, we'll tuck our toes under and walk our fingers, hands back, coming back onto the balls of our feet, and then pushing down, coming up to mountain pose. So the mountain pose, we'll get our big toes in line with the straight edge of the mat, about hip width apart. We'll lift both sets of toes up, try to spread them apart as far as you can, and then bringing them back down to the mat, bringing our heels up off the mat, and then lowering our feet back down on the mat, and just feel that connection, that grounding with the mat, with the earth below it, that stillness, that strength of energy that is in the earth. We're still in that Vata season to be that still lots of wind, and anytime we can find ourselves a moment to ground ourselves, it's a great thing. And then mountain also provides the essentials of good posture. So our legs are nice and straight and strong. Knees have a little bit of bend in them for that flexibility we want in our life. Navel's tucked to the spine, sending our spine, the back of our neck, nice and long and tall. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Chin's tucked back, and the crown of our head's reaching to the sky. And we'll sweep our hands up and overhead with a big inhale. And then exhale, bringing our hands all the way down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. And then bringing our hands to our shins, creating a nice flat back and nice long neck. Create that our gaze would be straight down. And you can have your hands on your shins, or you can even slide them all the way up to your thighs. Really create that nice straight back. And then drop the crown of your head down toward the mat. Release your hands and let them dangle, not touching the mat. And just let gravity take over here for a moment. And we'll sweep our hands all the way up overhead. And as we bring our hands up and overhead, we're going to come up onto our tippy toes. And then slowly lowering our hands, we're going to lower our heels back down to the mat as well. We'll do that a couple more times. So slowly raising your hands up overhead with a big inhale, coming up onto your tippy toes, reaching for the sky. And then slowly coming back down, lowering your heels to the mat with control. And then one last time, sweeping our hands up, nice big inhale, coming up onto our tippy toes, and pause, and then slowly lowering back down. Once our heels have hit, we're going to bring our hands all the way down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. And bring our hands to our shins, nice flat back. You can bring your hands up to your thighs if that works well for you. Chicken elbows. And then sending the crown of your head down toward the mat. And then sweeping our hands all the way up again, bringing them overhead. Feet remain on the mat. And as our hands come together, we're going to send our right hand down to our right thigh. And then slide that down toward our right knee, tilting the body over to the right. And then inhaling, coming back up with our hand. Palms come together, and then drop the left hand down to the left thigh, sliding it down toward the knee. Inhaling, coming back up with a hand. Palms come together, one more time on each side. Right hand comes down, sliding it down toward the right knee. And then coming back up again. Palms come together, dropping the left hand to the left side, sliding that hand down toward your knee, and then coming back up again. Palms come together, and then palms come down to the mat, bending our knees again as we go. Hands come back to the shins or up to the thighs. Nice flat back, straight spine and back of the neck. And then drop the crown of your head down toward the mat. And sweeping our hands once again with a big inhale, bringing them up overhead. We'll have them about shoulder width apart this time. And we go into chair pose. I'll turn to the side. And you can keep your hands either up or at a diagonal, 45-degree diagonal, or straight ahead at a 90-degree angle. So whatever your comfort zone is with your hands, I know it helps with your positioning. So let's tuck our navel to our spine and then send our hips down toward our ankles, bending our knees as we go, and then adjusting your arms to a comfort level. We'll just pause here for a moment. And then bring them back up again. And then we're going to bring them all the way down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. Then inhaling, bringing them to our shins or up to our thighs, creating a nice flat back. And then sending the crown of our head down toward the mat. And sweeping our hands all the way up with a nice big inhale. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And then palms come to the back of our hips for supported back bend. So our palms of our hands are resting on our hips, fingertips pointing down. Navel's tucked to the spine, shoulders relaxed and rolled back. Shins tucked to the chest, keeping your head from hanging back. And then we'll just drop our shoulders back to get to that sweet spot between effort and relaxation. Keeping your breath flowing nice and evenly. Then inhale, coming back up. Well done. All right, let's move it on. And we're sweeping our hands up overhead. Big inhale, exhale, bringing them down to fingertips to the mat, and then hands to our shins for half forward fold. And then bringing our palms of our hands to the mat, bending our knees and sending our feet back, coming into plank. So our wrists are right below our shoulders, navel's tucked to the spine, heels are pushing to the back of the mat. And you can lower down either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, keeping your elbows tucked to the sides. And then once we've landed, we're going to keep our fingertips where they are. And then lifting our chin and chest and hands off the mat. And then bringing them back down. We're going to tuck our toes under. And you can do this in a couple stages. You can either go right up to downward dog, or you can come to your knees and then up to downward dog. We'll pedal out here for a moment. The downward dog, our fingers are gripping into the mat, index finger pointing to the top of the mat. Arms are straight. Chest is reaching toward the thigh. Elevate our hips. And we're going to take our left knee and bring it to our left elbow, pushing off with the right toes. And then back to downward dog and pedal out a moment. And then again, knee to elbow. And then back to downward dog and pedal out. And this third time, we're going to bring the left foot between the hands. So we're going to bend the knee and send it forward. So it comes between the hands, coming into runner's lunge. And then we're going to come into high lunge. So you can keep your foot, the back foot where it is, so you're on the toes, or if it's a little wobbly for you, you can pivot your back foot down and create warrior one. And you can bring your hands to your knees for one step, and then up to the sky for step two. And then bring your hands back down, coming back to runner's lunge. And we'll bring our left foot back to meet the right foot, coming back to plank again. Wrists are right below the shoulders. And again, lowering to the mat, either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, coming down to the mat. This time, keeping our fingers where they are. We'll lift our chin and our chest and gently pushing into our fingertips, coming up to cobra. And we're going to go from cobra to downward dog, so you can use your knees, or if you want, just put your toes under and come up into downward dog. And we'll pedal out here a little bit. And we're going to lift our left foot up to the sky and bring it back down again. Three-legged dog, pedal out. And lift your left foot up to the sky and back down, pedal out. Then we're going to bring the left foot again back between the hands, so bending the knee, sending the foot forward, and guiding it as you go, coming into runner's lunge. And this time you put the back foot down, pivot it back down, and we're going to come into warrior two. So sweeping your hands up off the mat, come into your warrior two position, knee over ankle, back foot, the edge of the back foot nice and snug. Chest is facing the long side of the mat. Arms are out at shoulder height. And sending your gaze left to your fingertips. Really feel that connection to the mat. And then we're going to send the left fingertips. Either you can have choice of either sending your left arm to the top of your left thigh or your left fingertips down beside your left foot, reaching your right arm up to the sky. And then bring the right hand down. We'll pivot, coming back to runner's lunge. Sending the left foot back to join the right foot. Back to plank again. And then lowering down to the mat, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Keeping the hands right below the shoulders. We're going to come up to up dog. So we're going to use the tops of our feet and fully extend our arms up to up dog. And then flip our feet over, come into downward dog. So we've done 3 types of cobras, downward dog. And pedal out here. And then we'll slowly walk our feet up to our hands. Hands come to our shins. Nice flat back. Fingertips down to the mat. Crown coming down for forward fold. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. And palms come to heart center. Well done. We'll do that on the other side. So sweeping our hands all the way up overhead again. Palms come down. Actually, our fingertips reach the mat. And then our hands come to our shins. Nice flat back. And then the palms of our hands connect with the mat. Sending our feet back. Coming into plank. Shoulders are right above the wrists. Heels are pushing back. Coming down to the mat, either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. And then we're going to lift our chin and chest and hands off the mat for baby cobra. And then back down, tucking our toes under. You come onto your knees or straight up to downward dog. Pedal out here for a moment. And then we'll bring the right knee to the right elbow and back again and pedal out. Again, bring the right knee to the right elbow and back and pedal out. And then we're going to bring our right foot between our hands, coming into runner's lunge. So gently guide your right foot toward the top of the mat. Have your hands framing that foot, coming into runner's lunge. And then we're going to go into high lunge. And you keep the ball of your foot on the mat, or you can pivot your back foot down for warrior one, if that's more stable for you. And you can either bring your hands to your knees for step one, or all the way up for step two, coming into high lunge. And then bringing our hands back down to the mat. We'll send our right foot back to join the left foot into plank. And then lowering down, knees, chest, chin, chaturanga. And then lift the chin, the chest, gently pushing into the hands, coming up into cobra. Heart is open, heart is forward. And then going into downward dog, so you tuck your toes under and come into downward dog, or use your knees, come to tabletop, then downward dog. And pedal out here for a moment or two. And then we'll raise our right foot up for three-legged dog, and then bring it back down, pedal out. Again, raise the right leg up, and then back down, pedal out. And then we'll bring the right foot between the hands, coming into runner's lunge. So bending the knee, bringing the right foot forward, framing your foot with your hands. Then we'll pivot the back foot down and come into warrior two. So rising up, extending our arms out each direction. Sending our gaze to our right fingertips. And then we'll bring either the right forearm to the right thigh, or bring the right hand all the way down to the inner part of the right foot, sending the left hand up to the sky, and sending our gaze up to our hand, up to our hand. And then bringing the left hand down, pivot back to runner's lunge. We'll send that right foot back again to join the left, coming back to plank. And lowering down one last time, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. And then we're going to come into up dog. So using the tops of your feet and extending your arms fully, up into up dog. And then flip your feet, coming into downward dog. And pedal out here a moment. And then we'll slowly walk our feet up to our hands. Bring our hands to our shins. Create that nice long spine from the tailbone on up to the back of the neck. And then send the crown of your head down, fingertips down to the mat. And then sweeping our hands slowly all the way up and overhead. Palms come together and palms come to heart center. Yay! And then we'll bring our pinky toes to the edge of the mat, tucking our heels in at a 45-degree angle. And then slowly lowering our hips down toward the mat, bending our knees as we go, bringing our elbows to the inner part of our knees. And you can send your hands, continue the journey down toward the mat, opening up your knees even further. And then we'll bring our sit bone down to the mat. And we're going to lower again to the mat. So your pick again, knees bent, knees straight, express method. We're going to do the bent knees again. The slow movement, maybe not so slow movement, down to the mat. And once you've landed, you can bring your knees to your chest, give them a nice hug. Yay! Rock back and forth. And tip your toes, make nice big circles. As big as you could possibly make, really rocking and rolling your lower back. And then the other direction. And then we'll bring our feet to the mat, about hip width apart. And we're going to send our arms up and overhead so that our fingertips are pointing to the top of the mat. And send our feet out to the edges so that our knees are together, connected together, but our feet are out to the edges. And then we'll bring our hands back down. So we're going to do the sweeping with our hands movement. So as we have them beside ourselves, our knees will be together. And then we're going to lift our hands and bring them overhead. And as we do that, we're going to send both knees to the right, kind of a windshield wiper effect. And then bringing our hands back down, we're going to bring our knees back together again. And then lifting our hands again, we're going to drop our knees over toward the left. So gently moving back and forth with our arms and back and forth with our knees. Create this with our arms up, the knees go to one side, and then arms come back, knees come back together. Arms go back up, knees go to the other side. Back and forth. You can kind of set your own pace here. We'll do this for a few moments. Sending the knees side to side. Focusing on your movements. Focusing on your breath. Inhaling when the arms go back. Exhaling when they come back down, knees come together. When you come back with your hands back down and your knees together, slide both feet down to the end of the mat and prepare for Shavasana. Feet would go to each corner. Shoulders are nice and snug in the mat. Arms are alongside you with your palms facing up and alongside at a diagonal. Taking a nice deep inhale through your nose and exhaling through your mouth, just releasing your whole body gently into the mat like you're floating on a cloud. And take a couple deep inhales and deep exhales. Continue that gentle relaxation in the cloud. And I have a poem for you today by James Cruz. James Cruz, who actually is a Vermonter and lives in southern Vermont. The title is Keep Reaching. The trick is to keep reaching for the light you will never touch, and to be nourished by the stretch toward impossible things. The trick is to bloom where you are, not calling it a failure because you wanted a different outcome. Live each day devoted to awe, so that when a monarch lands on the tip of a coneflower, seeming to swell with that sudden effusion of sweetness, you don't miss it. So that while you watch, a pair of hard-won wings seems to open and close and open again in you.